Shalom. Today we're going to continue our lesson on the construct state. This is called smichut in Hebrew. The idea is that there are two nouns and one is leaning on the other for meaning. Sometimes it's called noun pairs. And it is used to express possession, or as we say, this of that, the book of David. We talked about 4 different forms. The smichut always follows the spelling of the noun. It doesn't actually follow the gender. Sometimes nouns which appear to be feminine are actually masculine and vice versa. So we're going to follow the spelling form, not the gender. Remember, in masculine singular, there are generally no changes, but there are some notable exceptions, including the word bayit, which is a masculine singular. But in the smichut, it goes to Beit, and you are familiar with all the names of the towns, Beit El, Beit Lechem. These are all in construct, the house of something. In the feminine singular, usually the form either ends in he or tav. The forms that end in tav take no change. The forms that end in he, the he changes to a tav in smichut. In the masculine plural, we're going to drop the final mem and change the vowel under the yud. Feminine plural usually gets no change. So all that was covered extensively with examples in the previous video. One of the things we said about words which end in the tseri and the yud is that 90% of the time, or some other percentage number which I have pulled out of thin air, the words that end in this form are masculine plural smichut, but not every time. And so we're going to cover that a little bit today. If you have studied already the plurals, you know there are some plural nouns which do not end in the ordinary im, but they end in a dual form, like the feminine parts of the body. Yad does not go to yadim, but it goes to yadayim, and this is a dual form. However, the smichut for the dual form is the same as the masculine plural. So here are some examples in Genesis 9:11. V'hakimoti et briti itchem, and I will establish my covenant with you. V'lo yikaret kol basar od, and all flesh will not again be cut off. Mi mei ha mabul. So the mei there is the smichut form of mayim, the waters of the flood. The plural for water is always in the dual mayim. In 1 Samuel 2:9, Raglei Chasidav Yishmor. Raglei Chasidav refers to the feet or the legs of his saints. So the singular for leg is regel. It appears masculine, but it takes a dual plural, raglayim. However, the smichut looks the same as the masculine smichut, as the masculine plural smichut, raglei. Now there's a small handful of words which have that ending, but are not necessarily what we would consider be smichut. One of these is lifnei. It can be in either place in front of or in time before something happens. If we look at the Blue Letter Bible parsing, we see that the lamed is a preposition, which means to. And we see that the panei part actually does come from panim. Now panim means face, singular or plural. It's always in the plural, no matter how many faces there are, and you can learn about that in the plurals video. So when panim goes into smichut, it becomes panei, and that looks quite normal. In the description, in the bottom half of the box, it does say that it is plural construct. Let's see how it's actually used in the text. From Genesis 10:9, speaking of Nimrod, Hu haya gibur tzayad lifnei Yehovah, and he was a great hunter before Yehovah, kind of like in the face of or to the face of Yehovah. So we have this is a locational meaning for lifnei. In Genesis 13:10, Vayisa Lot et einav, and Lot lifted up his eyes, v'yar et kol kikar hayarden, and he saw all the plain of the Jordan, ki chula mikshe lifnei shachet Yehovah et stom ve'et amorah, because it was all well watered before Yehovah destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So this is a before, which takes place in time. So lifnei, before, in front of, either location or time. We can kind of see the smichut, meaning of it, in the face of, to the face of. Acharei means the opposite, behind or after. Now, if we look at the parsing on Blue Letter Bible, we see no reference to smichut. And in fact, the root is listed as achar, and achar and acharei can be used quite interchangeably. There's some very fine point rules about when you use one or the other, but they're both the same, either behind or after. From Genesis 5:4, Vayihiyu yimei Adam acharei holidu et Shet. And it was Yimei Adam. Look, here's a smichut. It's the days of. Yom is one, Yomim is many. Yimei are the days of Adam after he sired Seth. So this is a matter of time. In Numbers 3:23, Mishpachot haGershoni acharei haMishkan yachanu yama. Speaking of the location of the encampment of the different tribes that there are, talking about the Gershonites. They are part of the tribe of Levi, and they are parked behind the Mishkan towards the west, after in time or behind in place. We don't really see a sense of smichut. And the other word that we often see that has this ending, which we associate with the masculine plural smichut, is ashrei, which means happy or blessed. If we look at the parsing, again, there's no mention in the parsing about construct state. It just says that it's an absolute masculine plural. The Gesenius piece I have pasted below, and it says that it comes from a word, esher. Asher means happiness, but it is only found in the plural construct. So he says it's a plural construct, and he gives us interpretation, the happinesses of the man. It's not something that we would express in English in that term. So we see how it is used in Psalm 1:1, Ashrei ha'ish, asher lo halach ba'atzat reshaim. Happy, blessed is the man who is not walking in the counsel of the evil. Uvderech chataim lo amad, he is not standing in the road of sinners. Uvmoshav letzim lo yashav, he does not sit in the seat of mockers or scorners. Good advice. Also, Psalm 33:12, Ashrei hagoy asher Yehovah Elohav. Blessed, happy is the nation whose God is Yehovah. Ha'am bachar l'nachala lo, the people he has chosen for his inheritance. One more aspect of smichut, of the construct that we want to discuss, is the difference between a definite phrase or an indefinite phrase. In English, we have a definite article that is the. In Hebrew, that's represented by the he. In English, we have an indefinite article, a. In Hebrew, there is no indefinite article. So the whole phrase is governed by the second or the last noun in the sequence, and we're going to see some examples of this. We're also going to find out that this rule makes translation difficult sometimes, and therefore the translation of some of these phrases is not uniform. So most simply, when we have an indefinite phrase, there is no he appearing anywhere for the, this, or that. Genesis 9:13. Et kashti natati be'anan, and my bow I have put in the clouds. V'hayita la'ot brit, and it will be as ot, a sign, brit, a covenant. It will be a sign of a covenant. You will find some different translations here, a sign of the covenant. But grammatically, it says a sign of a covenant. Genesis 23:4. Ger v'toshav anochi imachem. Abraham is negotiating for a burying place for his wife, Sarah. He says, you know that I am a sojourner among you. Tnu li achuzat kever. Give me. Achuzat is a feminine singular form. The noun is achuzah, a possession. It's going into smichut, so the hey at the end changes to tav, as we have learned, a possession of kever, burying. But there's no definite article here, and so it's a possession of a burying place. We don't know which one it is yet. It's not specific. Now, if the second noun is specific, even though it has no hey, it's still definite. And so the phrase automatically becomes the this of the person. V'yitchazek Shlomo ben David. So we see Solomon is the son of David. Is he the only son of David? No. He is a son of David, but because David is definite, we're going to translate the phrase definite. And the translations do this. They say Solomon, the son of David. However, in Exodus 2:1, Vayelech ish mibet Levi, and a man from the house of Levi went, Vayikach et bat Levi. So bat means daughter. It's already ending in tav. We don't need to change it to put it in construct with Levi. It really says a daughter of Levi in the thought form, because we don't even know how many daughters Levi has. But it's translated as the daughter of Levi because Levi is definite. You will find different translations. In another example, 2 Samuel 13:4, Vayomer lo, and he said to him, Madua ata kachadal ben hamelech baboker. So a friend of Amnon has seen him. Amnon is pining after his half-sister Tamar. And his friend is saying, why are you looking so pale or weak day after day? Boker baboker, ben hamelech. You are the son of a king. We know that he's not the only son of the king. He is a son of the king. But because the hey appears on the melech, the construct phrase takes on the definite for both nouns. The son of the king is the very proper translation for that. You will see different translations. Another anomaly, Judges 8:18. Gideon is chasing down a bunch of people, Zevach and Salmuna, and he asks them, Efo ha'anashim asher haragtem b'Tavor? Where are the men that you killed in Tavor? V'yomru, and Zevach and Salmuna reply, Kamocha, kamohem, as you are, like you are, they are. Echad ketoar b'nei hamelech. Each one has the shape of sons, the sons of the king. So we see b'nei is in smichut, it's plural. Hamelech has a hey, it's the king. Therefore, the whole phrase is properly translated as the sons of the king. Let's look at the different translations here. King James says, each one resembled the children of a king. Clearly, it's the king. But here they have moved the article to the children. The NLT, they all had the look of a king's son. Here they've reduced the son to just one son. NIV, each one with the bearing of a prince. We don't even mention the son. We don't mention the king. It's just the prince. RSV, they resembled the sons of a king. Again, the definite article is transferred in the translation to the sons, but not the king. The Young's Living says, as the form of the king's sons, which is probably most accurate grammatically. So you see there's a problem. If the king at the end of the phrase is definite, then whatever comes before it, the son or the daughter, is going to be definite. There is no grammatical way in Hebrew to say a son of the king or the son of a king. There's no way to say it. Either it's going to be a son of a king or the son of the king. So as the translators work with this, they go back to the Greek, they go back to the Latin. Maybe it's just something that's intuitive that we can understand. For example, talking about Solomon, the son of David. Well, he very much is the son who carries on the line, even though David had other sons. I know this may be a little bit confusing, but hopefully something of it is helpful to you in your studies. Until next time, shalom.